think what we need to be getting to here is the real essence of your thinking about parallel working, Ollie, because it's a new concept. It's one that people don't understand, on which there is no real research base at the moment. You're giving it a name.
Yeah.
Some people would say that the name actually moves us away from doing things together and in contact with one another into doing things separately, a bit like railway tracks. But I know that's not what you're trying to get at. So, what is it? What is parallel working?
Well, I don't think that's too bad an analogy, because we are in effect working on separate railway tracks, and our work is becoming more and more individual and separate from each other. So realising that, I think, can help us create better methodologies and better concepts to help us collaborate better and help us communicate better. Communities of practice often end up being communities of interest, where we're purely talking about the topic, instead of looking at what projects that are happening within the community and what ideas and concepts are being evolved and played about within the community that inform each other and enhance each other. And I don't think they'll come out if we are working in a space that assumes that everyone has to be interested in absolutely everything.
Yeah, so what we're talking about here is actually a technologically enabled way of enriching and deepening a concept which I think we're all grasping for as we become more individual and more isolated.
Yeah, I think that's true.
In the way we're doing our work. Instructional designers operating on their own, consultants operating on their own and rarely get actually physically.
And yet there's loads of people that are responsible for that bit of the machinery, if you want to use that analogy, but on different machines. And it's about finding those connections and looking beyond your team and seeing who can inform what I do and who can I inform in the areas that I work with.
What you're doing is generating some kind of space.
Yeah.
In which real deepening of knowledge.
Absolutely. Parallel working is all about trying to create more understanding and bring much more context awareness around things. And there's always commonalities between teams and between projects.
So you've actually just said something very important and very fundamental, which is that parallel working requires an understanding of the big picture.
Yeah, yes it does.
And it then takes you somewhere else, because it then throws a much bigger emphasis on personal responsibility.
Yeah. The role of the individual is strengthened in parallel working and in communities of practice, using that model, compared with communities of interest.
Particularly project teams, where you're sitting there with a specific skill set. So it actually is it's an empowering and it's an enhancing tool.
Absolutely.
Ollie, I think this is a fantastic thing and quite an interesting new concept, which I'm sure lots of people are going to be very interested in. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thanks for the opportunity.